up. Get ready. It's going to be a very, very intense journey.
This is Frameskip, episode 58, and I'm one of your hosts, Seth Slykehouse. We're here to talk about E3, and I'm joined, as always, by Austin, the ladies' man Eller.
That's wrong, and I'm really regretting letting you host this episode.
And also, it's not always. He was just gone for like a month.
I introduced Austin Eller, and I called him the ladies' man, George, which is all.
I got that, but also he said "as always" by Austin. I was like, "Hey, he was here last week, but he was gone the month before that." So.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the joke.
I was gone for like a couple months.
That's the amazing Austin Eller, ladies and gentlemen.
That's me. Yeah.
And also, slamming a Pabst Blue Ribbon is George Cam Newton Loftus.
Changing my name to George Wet Blanket Loftus after ruining that joke and not understanding the humor in it. What's up,
right.
Internet?
About as funny as a
funeral
smallpox covered blanket.
Oh my god!
I don't know which is worse.
Horrible.
I don't like the implications
Yikes.
that you're bringing in with that history, that reference. I don't like it. Shut it down.
And also the ladies' man, Elijah Steele.
Hi, hello.
Hi, what's up?
Nothing much. I'm feeling good. Feeling good.
Are you wearing the sunglasses because your future's too bright?
That and the light doesn't have a shade on it right now, so it's pretty bright.
I just assumed you got your eyes dilated today at the doctor's office, and that's why you're still wearing sunglasses.
I did not. I'm all hopped up on G Fuel, and I'm super energetic. And I don't know. I'm just feeling the shades right now.
It's weird.
Is your shirt unbuttoned so you can get a sick tan?
Off your ring light?
I'm going to be honest. Just be happy I put this on. I wasn't going to put a shirt on at all.
Oh man, then we would have had to wear sunglasses, Elijah.
I would have just turned off my monitor.
Man, what's amazing, I feel like people today, I feel like streamers get a lot of the jokes. You know, like people make fun of streamers for like their setup and like their energy and whatever. But when I was younger, it was all about making fun of like the morning disc jockeys. And Elijah just has incredible morning DJ energy. Well, what's up, guys? Welcome to Allegheny, PA. Coming to you on the 2s and 5s with the weather.
Welcome to 97.9X rocks.
Yeah, you got those vibes, and I freaking love it. I love it. Don't change.
I blame it all on the fact that I've been listening to Free Beer and Hot Wings every morning for the past like month and a half since the CD player in my car broke, and they're like the best morning talk show I've ever heard.
Why don't you get a new head unit where you can connect your phone to it?
I will in time.
Well, the time is it's 2021. The time is now, Elijah.
I know.
The time has been now for like 6 years.
Okay, we're just gonna add. We're just gonna add to the. You really need to get with the times because the CD player broke in the afternoons on the way home from work. I've been listening to the Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette cassette.
Never apologize for that. Never apologize for that.
I'm just so mad that the Def Leppard cassette I got from a yard sale was ruined.
Was it Pyromania? Because that was one of the first CDs I bought for my car.
It was Hysteria.
Okay. That's a good one, too.
Well, we're here this week to talk about E3, the biggest gaming event of the year. As you can tell, we are super psyched about E3.
Yep.
The biggest gaming event of the year, the Super Bowl for the video game industry.
Seth, you can't say that.
Why?
You have to say the big game of
you
the video
can't say
game
Super
industry.
Bowl. It's copy. It's like
it's
trademark.
Oh, my bad. It's
Booper
it's the Super Dash Bowl.
There you go. Good one.
Hyphenated Super Dash Bowl.
Super Space Bowl.
In which we're talking about a very large cereal bowl.
Yeah.
Of the video game industry, and I think we're just going to jump right from the top. Austin, we don't have any questions this week, do we?
No, I was, the usual social media person and didn't post anything, so nobody sent anything.
Okay, awesome, amazing, incredible. So I think we're just gonna drop in from the top rope right here, like Jeff Hardy.
There you go.
There's only a few conferences I really want to talk about because the rest of them were almost insulting wastes of our time. I feel. Like seriously, like disrespectful. They slapped us across the face like the Big Show. Like that's how I felt when I watched Capcom and
Square Enix.
No, well, yeah, but there's a lot to unpack with Square Enix. At least with Capcom,
Square Enix, Gearbox, Koch Media, they were all terrible.
Yeah, well, yeah, but there's stuff to talk about with Square Enix. We're gonna circle back to Square Enix. Let's talk about Microsoft, which, in my opinion, was really
Amazing.
the real standout this year.
Yeah.
But overall, gentlemen, I want to tell you, this E3 is bad. It was real bad.
So
It was terrible.
I put a lot of thought into this, and from an actual presentation and show standpoint, it was really bad because there was so much that's like, where do I watch it? When do I watch it? The schedule is weird. Like it was so all over the place and not well thought out or well done. On the bright side, I think I've seen more better games this year than I ever have at an E3. And the reason being, because of the way this was done, there were a number of showcases and direct kind of things that showcased a bunch of indie games that otherwise would have never had a voice if it was like an E3 of 3 years ago, where all that stuff was just going to be relegated to the show floor. I've seen, like I was telling Austin, if you were to ask me to narrow it down to the top 25 games of the show, I don't know if I could. There were that many amazing looking games I saw.
Wow, I don't know if I could come up with the top 5, to be honest.
See, and that's
top
just it.
25. Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch every show like you did.
The best conferences weren't the popular ones. That's why, like, it's the popular conferences for the most part were a letdown, and it's because we were hyped up for them. We had like feelings about it coming in. We wanted to see something special. With the other shows, we had no reason to really feel that. So it was just the whole time like, oh, this looks really good at a whole bunch of different stuff. So overall, as an E3, I think it was just poorly presented, poorly done, poorly handled. But game-wise, it's probably the best E3 I've ever seen.
So I don't necessarily disagree with you. I of course I didn't watch every show either because I got sick of wasting my time. But
you're not wrong.
You're probably right. But the thing is that I don't go to E3 to see indie games. I go to E3 because I want to know what the big swingers are packing. You know, like for the big guys to show up to this E3 with what they showed up with, except for Microsoft and Nintendo, even though Nintendo isn't really necessarily part of it. It was almost insulting. It was insulting, actually. But let's.
Sorry, wait. That's interesting though. Like, I guess I never really thought about it like that. But like, E3 isn't a presentation, right? Like, it's more like a music festival, and so it's supposed to be like, all right, who anchors day 1, who anchors day 2, who anchors day 3? Because like those are who gets you to buy the tickets, and then hopefully during that show, you're like, well, so and so doesn't go on until 8 p.m.
Metallica goes on at 8 p.m., but I'll check out Eric Church at 4:30.
Exactly. So stuff like that. That's really interesting. I never really like framed it in my head like that before, because I think they did a really good job of that in E3's past, where like the integration, I guess, between smaller studios on like a bigger stage with someone like a Sony or a Microsoft. Like I feel like they really tried to tie those together in a way that they didn't have to this year, because E3 has been completely decentralized, both because of COVID and also just because E3, as we talked about on last week's episode, is just sort of a changing thing that we are yet to really define for the 2020s going forward.
And the thing that makes it really hard is a lot of these companies like Square and Ubisoft are, instead of just doing a show a year, they'll do a show every 3 months. So it's like they're being much more communicative than we might want them to be.
Wait, I'm sorry. When does Square Enix do a quarterly show?
I mean, they did one like 2 or 3 months ago where they showed off Life is Strange: True Colors, some more Avengers stuff. They announced Project Athia's name was Forspoken with a new trailer, stuff like that. Every couple of months they're doing one.
Well, then whenever there's a big Final Fantasy game, like they have like a Final Fantasy event, right?
And yes, but here's another thing too. If you'll notice, most of the Final Fantasy stuff, except for Origins, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is generally associated with PlayStation and gets shown off at PlayStation stuff, and not so much Square stuff anymore.
Well, and that's true, because the new Final Fantasy games are PlayStation, well, supposedly PlayStation exclusives.
Yeah.
But PlayStation doesn't have anything announced for foreseeable future.
No, but I'm pretty sure there's one coming in the next few weeks.
Yeah, we keep hearing that. We're pretty sure it's rumored. It doesn't help the mind thing.
Yeah, no, it's going to happen the
None
same
of
day that
that.
the 4K Switch is announced, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff Keighley kind of leaked it in a way on the Summer Games Fest show when he was talking to Kojima, and Kojima announced Death Stranding Director's Cut for PS5, came with the big PlayStation logo and like symbol and everything. And then Keighley said, and I'm told the full reveal is just a few short weeks away. That's a state of play thing.
So my thing is that like you're not wrong, but COVID and a lack of content doesn't excuse you for having Take-Two just have a Zoom call for however long that was, and for Square Enix to show 57% of their conference Marvel stuff. That's poor planning. Oh, also Capcom not announcing a single thing. That's all poor planning. That has nothing to do with like coronavirus.
Well, partly yes and partly no, because they do at E3 do like panels and such, and basically that was 2K having their panel just on the E3 stream since there was no in-show thing. But E3
that's more of a GDC thing, though. That's more of a GDC thing.
No, not really, because that wasn't about developing. It was more of like about
I'm not going to argue.
The
You
industry.
just say what you need to say.
Well, no, it's
in the industry of developing games, like
in the industry of working on games, like.
Well, no, but like no, GDC covers like technology advancements and like lighting, whereas like E3 is more like Comic-Con, I guess, right? Like just in terms of the stuff that they offer, like it's more like
exactly.
I like celebrating the culture of games as opposed to like the actual technical specs of games.
So the whole panel thing only started in the past like 2 or 3 years. Once it became a show for the public, that's when they started doing it.
It was awful.
Before that, they didn't do like panels for everyone to watch and everything like that. That was when that started.
Austin, what'd you think of the Microsoft conference?
Well, I mean, I think it was easily the best. And I mean, I literally just got off the Nintendo Direct, and obviously you guys know, including Nintendo, you know, their thing this year. I still think Microsoft had the best overall conference. I mean, Nintendo announced a ton of stuff that I'm super excited for, but Microsoft honestly blew me away. I mean, there's just so much stuff there that I'm excited for. Forza Horizon 5 alone was like something that I just wasn't expecting, because typically we get Horizon Motorsport, and now this time it's Horizon. And
even last year they're like, and we're working on a new Forza Motorsport.
And this is the same developer that's working on Fable. So it's like, it's just crazy that they're also releasing a new Horizon game. But that just blew me away. I mean, they had so many games that they announced. What was the one I was just talking about, Elijah? Replaced. That game looks incredible.
Looks so good.
That's the cyberpunk one.
Yeah, it's like kind of the cyberpunk like pixel art, but like with incredible lighting and like effects in the background. That game looks freaking nuts. So that I'm really excited for. Yeah,
they did just such a good job.
They did
at keeping the pacing of the show was fantastic.
It was
the production of the show was the best overall, I would say. I mean, it was just, you know, here's some words from people at Microsoft or Bethesda, and then game. And it's just the best way to do it. I mean, I literally just talked about this last week. That is the best way to have a presentation at E3.
I hope so, though, man. If you can spend $7 billion on a publisher, I hope you can spend like a couple extra, shekels on a good presentation.
And they've really had something for everyone, because I know this wouldn't resonate for everyone, but my best friend could tell you I was freaking out and sitting on the side of the couch when they announced A Plague Tale Requiem. I was so excited. That was one of the best things I saw this entire E3.
I've never played that game, but I know people love the first one, so I know a lot of people are excited with that announcement.
So we finally saw something from Starfield.
We did.
And it's supposed to come out next year.
Yep.
And it was an in-engine CG trailer, essentially. Yes. And everyone's talking about this, but I'll be honest, guys, I am not impressed. Like,
neither am I.
Here's the thing that a lot of people I don't think understand is that Bethesda's creation engine is an updated version of Gamebryo from like the 90s. And that is why their games have become so like they've always been glitchy and whatnot. That's why they've become so broken lately, because they're pushing this engine, this old engine, to its absolute limits. And that's pretty much the reason why Fallout 76 was completely broken, because they're doing things with this engine that are not meant to be done with this engine. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and they've updated it, but it's still pretty much the same system. So they're using Creation Engine 2 for Starfield, and I need to know more about it before I get any sort of hyped, because they're saying it's like what they say, a Han Solo simulator with Skyrim in space, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool, but you gotta give me more when it's coming out in a year, and you've hyped it. I think they announced it 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago they announced it?
Yeah.
That, like, you guys need to show me more than that, and I feel like that about a lot of games for this show. But that one, I was like, okay, this is pretty bad. I don't even know why I don't know why they showed off anything, to be honest. If that's what they had to show off, why even bother?
And I know it's still like a year and a half out, and I know we didn't really get full gameplay, but I don't know if anyone else caught this, but that trailer looked pretty choppy to me still.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely still looks like it's obviously running on the Skyrim and Fallout engine.
Yeah.
And to me, it was a little odd, because they've been like, for the past 2 years, they've been like, this has never been possible before these new systems. And it's like, well, it looks exactly the same as like the last few games.
And my big problem with the trailer is, usually, you come out with a first real trailer for a game, you can kind of get a glimpse of some things about the game. For example, they showed off Redfall at the end, which you got a sense from that. Okay, 4-player co-op, probably fighting like vampires and such.
Yeah.
You got a sense, because like it was a CG trailer, but you kind of got a sense of what the game was. Starfield, we already knew it's a game in space, and Starfield has a ship and a planet. That's literally all. That trailer literally gave us nothing. And you know the best part? Somebody asked Todd Howard about, we noticed they climbed up the ladder into the ship. So can we finally climb ladders in this game? And Todd Howard basically said, no.
Oh my God.
I kind of like that. Okay, first, you don't need ladders to make a good game. And the fact that they're just so like deliberately going out of their way to be like, you will never climb a ladder. And do you know what ladders have done to my family? Do you have any idea? my uncle died because of ladders.
Ladders killed my parents.
Oh my God.
Those devs have never.
Yeah,
those devs have never played Metal Gear Solid 3, so they don't understand the real importance of ladders.
I gotta not start saying, we'll get copyright strike.
Climbing, falls.
Yeah, God, you sounded just like her. My big thing, I guess like tone in that trailer was like what was most confusing, right? Because like, I don't know, like I got like 2001 vibes, I got Interstellar vibes, and like that's tight. I don't want to play a 2001 video game. It sounds boring as hell, man. Like, you can't show me this like incredibly bespoke sci-fi environment that looks pristine and perfect, and then just tell me it's a Han Solo simulator. I'm like, in what world, man? Like, wasn't that dude just like eating a donut? Like, wasn't it like, didn't we just see like food on a desk? Like, wasn't that the entire like, how the hell am I supposed to get that from your trailer, man?
Exactly.
And so like the fact that there was no indication of tone, I think is like the worst part of that. But my big thing with E3 that pisses me off the most, except for Nintendo, they're the only ones who like really did this well, I think, is that they showed me stuff I could be playing in the next 6 months.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
And like that's my biggest frustration point. Like, dude, like you guys did Fallout 4 and then released it that fall. Like, and
that was great.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the highest selling Fallout game in the entire series? Fallout 4? Like across PlayStation 4. I mean, obviously, it's I don't know like how old PC sales are.
I would bet it is just because of how hyped that game was when it came out. I if I had to guess, but I don't know.
Well, it broke Pornhub. I remember that they released their stats.
I do remember that,
and it totally killed Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah, that game was
Right? Was that Shadow
or no, it was
That
Rise.
was Rise.
of the-
It was
Rise of
Rise,
Tomb
yeah.
Raider.
They got them both the same day, and I'm like, Rise of the Tomb Raider is amazing. No one is going to play this right now.
Yeah.
Dude, no. Do you? Before we move on, that specific point, I'll never forget watching Kind of Funny when they were talking about this and seeing Colin and Greg. And Colin, I'll never forget him going, "You better keep on running, Laura. Keep on running right into 2017 or whatever year it was."
2015.
2050. Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, you're right, man." Because Fallout 4 absolutely killed that whole franchise.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry. Before we jump into like other studios, like I want to keep talking about Microsoft first.
Please do.
There was a bunch of stuff that I saw that I really liked. I'm honestly most excited for Shredders, just because I don't know if you guys know this about me. I love a good snowboarding or skateboarding game. Like that stuff is just sort of like buried into my DNA as someone who like grew up playing games in the 90s.
Same.
Like you
SSX
had,
tricky.
yeah, exactly. That 1080 on N64,
Cool borders.
Tony Hawk, yeah. Oh god, even Snowboard Kids like holds like a special place in my heart. Like whenever I go over to friends, like there's just something innately cool about snowboarding, and like I don't know if it was just growing up in a certain era. That one really spoke to me. 12 minutes looks awesome. Like that just looks like a really cool,
yeah, it does.
just a really cool concept for a game. I'm starting to get a little sick of two things in my fiction. I'm starting to get sick of metatextual stuff where the art is about the production of the art you're consuming. Getting a little sick of that. Also getting a little sick of time loops.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like
Yes,
I'm
dude.
cutting this one some slack because this was announced a year ago, 2 years ago. Like I get it.
This was announced like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, all right, and even better. In that case, like I'm totally willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, but like we gotta move on from the time loop stuff.
It's such a give me in storytelling, and because it's an easy way out of literally anything, right? But dude, I've never seen time travel work well in a science or any fiction setting. Like it ends up it's an ongoing story. It ends up ruining it, I think, every single time.
Well, not even that. I just think it's like, dude, after this past year, like I don't want to think about being stuck in the same day ever again. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So much of this past year was just its own time loop, except it wasn't, because I still lost a year of my life just doing the same thing every day. Like it sucked. Don't do that.
I feel like Animal Crossing came out like 6 years ago.
Yeah,
Does
right.
feel like
It's
that.
ridiculous. Another thing for the Microsoft conference, Forza Horizon got a release date, correct?
Yes, November 9th.
Okay.
Pretty sweet.
How the hell does Halo just have a release window of holiday?
Yeah.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
guys. Like you delayed it. I understand completely unforeseen circumstances. I'm not dogging any developer who was hit hard by COVID, who's trying to keep their employees safe. Like completely, like that is so much more important than like getting a video game. And you delayed the game. I completely understand why. That would have been a killer launch title. I get it. I'm sure you didn't want to do that. But like, how is it a year later and you don't have like a date picked out? That makes me think the game.
yeah.
That makes you think the game could still be moved.
Well,
There was
they're also.
something-
Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
Well, I was just going to say there was something going around about, and I forget who said this. It might have been like Jeff Grubb or somebody, but they said something about how they didn't really have much of a showing here because they were like just way deep into development and didn't want to waste time
we've
like
heard
doing
that
stuff
before.
for E3. But it's
No,
like,
I mean,
that's
I
like
get
kind
that,
of a
though.
blanket statement there.
No, but like
Yeah.
that's totally true though, because like you
Yeah.
can either polish something up specific for the presentation, or you could just like, hey, here's what we've got. Here's what we can
But
do.
it's like
Independent of
release
like
date,
spending a lot of
though?
resources. No, I like that. I'm willing to defend. I don't care about that. How is there not a freaking date? I'm trying so hard not to swear. I'm like staring directly at Austin, and I know he's gonna be so sad if I swear. How is there not a GD date for this game?
Yeah.
We've known about this game for years, and there's no date. We've known about Horizon for 3 days, and it has a date.
No,
Well,
we knew about
considering
Horizon
Horizon's
for 4 minutes before there was a date. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
If I may, gentlemen, if I may, I do. First off, this is the first Halo game that has me excited since 3.
Same.
Agreed.
Or I guess I was excited for
I liked Reach.
Reach. I was excited for Reach.
Reach
I
is the
hate
best one.
Reach.
You guys are insane. Okay.
Reach is what broke me because of the multiplayer.
Love that game.
Anyway, they're doing something different with this Halo, and I think it's very bold, and I think it's the only way it works correctly is that they're making the multiplayer free for everyone with battle passes that do not expire, because I think they looked at the current landscape of multiplayer and said, we can't just put a paywall behind multiplayer anymore. That's not the way the industry works. You got Apex Legends, you got Warzone, Fortnite. Yeah, all these things are free to play immediately. So Microsoft had to adjust and make the Halo multiplayer free and use a battle pass is something. What is going on? What's happening? Why is everyone laughing?
Sorry,
did I
we're using Zencaster, and there's like an option to like raise your hand to have something to say, and it's like bumping.
Well, yeah, I wanted to say something after, but
Sorry.
so I was going to try this button, and I don't like it.
You look like a second grader.
We wanted to do it so it was inconspicuous, and the way it does it made it the complete opposite.
It's like in that movie Master of Disguise where Dana Carvey pretends.
Okay, let's not focus on this.
Okay,
let's not focus on this any longer.
Anyway, I was saying, I think one of the reasons they might not have a release date is because they're probably trying to figure this out. It's something new they've never done before, and it could have been a last-second decision. It's the first time we've heard of it. Also, they've done a lot of improvements in the last year to Halo Infinite. Obviously, the game was a meme for like 6 months last year.
Craig.
That grunt was awful, and now it looks good. I think the whole game looks good. You got grappling hooks.
Multiplayer looks great.
Yeah, who doesn't love grappling hooks? For now, like finally, you have a reason or something to go up against the stupid ghosts that run everybody over. You can grapple onto them. That's awesome. I'm about that. I'm all about that. So
also,
anyway, Austin.
Wait,
no. Austin raised his hand, George. You gotta wait your turn.
Here's my brief comment. George has now pressed the George Loftus has something to say button. Anyway, my 5 seconds that I wanted to say was that yes, Halo, Microsoft, they're doing the right thing with Halo and making the multiplayer free. And then the same conference, you have EA and DICE showing Battlefield, which doesn't have Battle Royale, doesn't have single player, for $70 multiplayer only. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Paid battle passes.
It's a horrible kind of black and white view between Halo and that game.
Yeah,
awful.
They're gonna get crushed. Sorry, George, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I want to comment on something really quick. You said paid battle passes. Does that mean Halo does not like those battle passes are free? Like when it says free to play, I assume that means free to access. Not
yes, but the battle passes are not free, but they do not expire.
Okay, that
it's
is
not a season.
I think that is incredible. I think that's
Yes.
genius because I have bought, just curiosity out of like Fortnite. I've grabbed a battle pass, and like it's really fun when you get there early in the season, But then it becomes stressful and it makes the game feel like homework eventually, where you're like, I need to get my money's worth out of this battle pass. Like I need to keep playing, but you're like, but I don't want to play this right now. I want to go out to dinner. I want to play literally anything else. I want to take a nap. Like you just feel like you're throwing money away at that point. So I just, as like a 30-year-old dude with like a full-time job, it is awesome that these battle passes do not expire. That is incredible. Yeah. That is, it's weird that like that's the innovative thing that I saw out of this. But it totally is, and it's blowing my mind, and I'm so into it.
I completely agree with you. I think that's awesome, and like I have fallen off Halo. We all know how I feel about Halo 4 and especially 5. I'm super excited for this game because I've always loved the Halo campaigns, and I want to feel that way about Halo again.
So you beat Halo 4?
Yes.
You beat Halo 5?
Yes.
So you haven't fallen off Halo?
So I beat them. Halo 5 was probably the worst campaign of any game I've ever played.
I'm just saying,
that
like,
campaign sucks.
No, it's like someone being like, I quit smoking yesterday.
Okay,
my like, love. Oh, you quit smoking yesterday, or you just haven't smoked in 8 hours? Like, what is it?
Okay, I'll put it this way: my love of Halo has diminished because the quality of Halo has diminished.
No, I get it.
I want to feel that love again. Like I love the idea of Halo, but the games just haven't been there, and I'm ready for that.
Also, time out though. Like, can you imagine like this is like the 20th anniversary of Halo? Like, it's pretty amazing that like what seemed like such like a novelty thing on the Xbox is still like swinging for the fences 20 years later. Like, I just want just a quick hats off to Halo. Like,
still their biggest franchise.
Yeah,
still.
And I understand like they've stumbled in the last two. Like, I'm a little easier on 4 than I think Elijah is, and for all the faults with 5, I at least think it like played the best of any Halo game.
Oh yeah, it played really well.
Oh yeah,
story broke my heart, but yeah,
story.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But yeah, everything about this looks great, and it looks like there's gonna be like a weird conflict of interest for Chief as he's like, I guess, trying to redeem Cortana. I don't really know. But I'm excited, and yeah, it's seriously, man, 20 years is like nothing to scoff at. Like that's like how old the Star Wars movies were when they were re-released in theaters that we all saw as kids. Mm-hmm. Like, that's pretty nuts. Right?
That's how old Fast and the Furious is.
Fast and Furious is older, isn't
it?
Well, yeah, that's great. That's
always bringing it back.
My favorite game that I saw from Microsoft though was that RPG they showed, that 2D/3D RPG.
I can't remember how to pronounce it.
Elucid or Elysium or something like that.
Uridian?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Who cares?
Isn't it like Arpanasis?
Stupid Japanese inspired name. Anyway, that is super cool. It reminds me of what I wish Octopath Traveler would have been, because it's got like the Octopath Traveler style, and then the camera shifts to like a behind, almost a third person perspective in battle, and it looks really cool. It looks really fun. I can't wait. That was the most exciting thing I saw from Bethesda, or not Bethesda, Microsoft.
Same thing,
same difference.
Yeah, I guess at this point.
Hey.
I will say though, we talked about that Redfall game a little bit. Again, don't show me just a trailer. I need to see gameplay to get me excited for your game these days. I've been burned too many times. I'm getting kind of sick of this Fortnite-esque art style, which I got from that. I was like, everything's starting to kind of look the same, and I don't like that. So
I liked a lot about it, but then you saw that first vampire, and I'm like, I don't like that at all.
I'm not very excited for that game at all. Is there anything we missed on Microsoft though before we move on?
Flight Simulator.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that.
And as soon as they announced it, Nick just looked over at me, and I'm like, I hear the Top Gun theme song start playing. I'm like, and Nick just goes, "Oh no."
Oh yeah, no, dude. I thought I was like having a stroke. I heard like that one like piano key, like the boom, and I was like, oh my god, where is it?
Where is Tom Cruise?
Also, they showed off Stalker 2. First
looks
gameplay
great.
We've seen looks phenomenal.
You thought so?
Super excited.
I thought graphically it looked pretty bad.
Graphically, it didn't look great most of the time, but actual like gameplay wise, I was all in.
Yeah, I thought it looked good. For me, the conference though overall, I mean, it motivated me enough that I'm actually going to try to line up at GameStop tomorrow and buy a Series X because they're getting stock in. So
I have a Series
really
S,
excited.
and I might look at getting a Series X next month.
Yeah.
For Microsoft, like we talked about like metatextual stuff, so that's why like I'm excited for Outer Worlds 2. I just like hate that trailer. Like,
oh my god, I hate that trailer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I just hate that trailer so much, man. Like I think it's become like so lazy. Like it's become so common that it's like now the lazy thing to do is to just like reference everything that you're supposed to do as opposed to just like doing it. And like I understand, but that's like in the game's humor. So like I get it, like in their tones, like that's fine or whatever. I've been playing a lot of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart lately, and I understand we're not talking about new games, but because of that, I'm super excited for Psychonauts 2. Like I never played the first one.
August 25th, I want to say.
Yeah, you're right. And so like because I'm enjoying this so much, I'm like looking at like other sort of like third person action platformers that I never really spent time with. And I think I'm gonna like try out Psychonauts, and I'm super excited for Psychonauts too. Like I think it's fun to like have a game that's like, oh man, like a kid can play this, an adult can play this. Like I like the idea that it's like, you know, it's not, there's no blood.
Before we move on, I want to also say that Microsoft did another one of my gaming sins in this conference, which was they showed off stuff last year that they then went silent on this year, which was, of course, for me, Fable.
Well.
And they said something about it. They said it was in development. Don't announce something if you're then going to go silent on it for 2 years. When it's ready to be shown off, announce it. Yeah, that's how I feel about that stuff. You know, like that. It's just, man, why would you show it off last year?
Because it was them saying, "Here's why you should buy an Xbox."
Yeah.
It was just insurance for the future.
I agree with I agree with you, Seth. But I know why they did it. I just don't like that they did it.
The other one, which I noticed, and there was a story I read afterwards, was Everwild, Rare's new game, was gone because apparently it's like they've just completely switched directions with that game. It's just going to be a completely different game than what they showed last year. So it's
like
a new creative director came in.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a weird situation with that. But
by the way, I'm pretty convinced Sea of Thieves is never coming out. I don't know if you guys said. Not Sea of Thieves.
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm with Seth. That's like my biggest pet peeve too. Like we talked about it earlier, like the Fallout thing. Just do what Fallout did. Like I don't understand. Also, I don't understand why we didn't see more games from the Bethesda family. Like I think that was like a huge swing for them. Like when they announced all the Bethesda games that were coming to Game Pass, like I thought that was awesome. And it does, like, again, I'm not super interested in Game Pass just because I just don't like Microsoft's first party lineup as much as I like PlayStation's. Like if PlayStation were doing this, I'd be like, this is the greatest service of all time. There's certain games I like for Microsoft, but other ones I don't. But like the Bethesda games, like those totally get my interest. But like, where was like Machine Games Indiana Jones? You know, like obviously you don't want to like, I get it. You don't want to show all your cards, but like there's just so much from those studios that I feel like could have been there. But then I don't know. Are we just becoming the point where like, why didn't they talk about this? It's like, oh, because then that would be like the Fable trailer from last year's E3. So why would they do that? So
yeah.
And also don't forget, 2 of Bethesda's games are timed exclusive on PlayStation. So they weren't going to bring them up at all.
I did love how they referenced it though. They were like all the the games we've already announced that are coming to other systems or something that we're still working on them or whatever. So I love how they were just kind of like, it's still happening, but we can't show them.
It's Deathloop, and what's the other one?
Tokyo
Ghostwire.
Ghostwire Tokyo. Well, that's like they showed the trailer for Hades. I'm like, heck yeah, Hades on Xbox, and then the link pops up. Hades, pre-order now on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Xbox.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, there, I'll get it. Yeah, I'll get it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Square Enix show. How to lose an audience 101, in my opinion. Because, dude, Guardians looks so good. It looks like I was so excited watching Guardians, and I was like, man, this has been going on for a while, huh?
Yeah,
and then they I was like, okay, well, they wrapped it up, and then they started a new level, and I'm like,
yeah, and then a new trailer, and I'm like,
I was like, what is going on here?
Literally 20 minutes, literally half of the conference.
Yeah. I was watching that, and I was like, geez, guys, is this all they're going to show?
That's like an episode of Guardians of the Galaxy, like 22 minutes. It's like, oh, that's how you fill up a half-hour slot on Disney, guys.
Hey, Square, it's okay to not have a full conference. Just do like a half-hour conference if that's all you got. But man, don't make me dislike a game 5 minutes after I've decided I liked it, because you just keep showing us more.
All right, really quickly, I've got nothing to say about Square Enix except for like this thing. This is the problem with like streaming services. Like Netflix was amazing 10 years ago because everything was on Netflix. And then once everyone saw the numbers of like The Office and Friends or like whatever was on Netflix, and they're like, we've got a lot of shows that are doing really well. We could have our own streaming service. And then like they start Peacock, and then all of a sudden like their numbers go down. It's like, yeah, man, no one wants Peacock. Yeah. They watched their show on Netflix because they already had Netflix. And so it's like, all these developers who like spin off and do their own conference, like if all this stuff was shown in like a Sony and a Microsoft and a Nintendo conference, like those are banging conferences, right? Like then we're just like, oh, how good was E3? But because it was Microsoft splintered with Square Enix splintered with, I don't know if anything was announced at 2K. Like I said, I didn't watch a lot of this stuff. But like the indie announcements and like all that stuff, it's like, man, if you combined all these and then like curated stuff, and then you had like a treehouse style event where you got to like play the other stuff that didn't get the time to shine during the main event, it's like, wow, that's a pretty baller E3 you've got.
Instead of showing me that Square Enix conference, give me a 2-hour Xbox conference and a full hour Nintendo conference, because pretty much everything Square Enix showed would have fit in just with other stuff, but not by themselves.
Instead of giving me that Square Enix conference, give me like, I don't know, like a waiting trial in Guantanamo Bay. But nonetheless, we saw Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought it looked really good. I'm not ever going to look at anything else for it again, because I've seen enough now until it releases. Thank you, Square. I don't need to watch any more of your trailers. And I don't even know what came after that. Man, I was so like done after that. But then they showed off. I was like, okay, sweet. We're getting into some more like more cool stuff, And then they showed off something from Avengers, I think. DLC for Avengers.
War for Wakanda. Super excited.
Which, by the way, why did they show just another CGI trailer when
and that's
we've already gotten a CGI trailer for that?
Everyone's like, why didn't we see gameplay? Why didn't we see what it's like to play as Black Panther? That's what I would have loved to see.
Choice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Final Fantasy 1 through 6 for phone and PC,
dude.
Oh, listen. Wait, man, I thought that was a joke. That they actually did that.
That's legitimate.
That was
real. Dude, like who? So here's the thing with Square. It's always one step forward, 2 steps back. They always make you feel like, oh, they're back, man. Like they're doing some good stuff. They're being smart.
They get it now.
And then they're like, actually we just swallowed a whole bunch of bleach. It's like that kid that's like, oh, Johnny learned how to spell his name today, and then you see him in the corner and he's like eating a banana the wrong way, like backwards. You're like, okay,
he's smearing his poop on the wall to spell his name.
It's like, okay, like it's always one step forward, two steps back with Square. Always, man. It's been this way for 2 decades. They do not get it. They don't know how to capture the Western audience, and what they don't understand is they've already done it. They already have a Western audience. They don't need to try so hard, and that is exactly what this conference was all about, was Square failing at capturing the Western audience. If I can encapsulate it in anything, it would be that. Because, man, releasing Final Fantasy 1 through 6, which we've all want. First off, half those are already on Steam already. They're already there.
And on mobile.
Yeah.
And they've got, 3 is obviously the best one, as the only one I've really played. And so it's like, just put that where the people are, man. Put that out on PlayStation.
Yeah, put that where George is. Yeah.
And when
I
you
just don't get it.
When you compare the new art form that they showed off with the original art is better.
Yeah. I do not understand it. Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
Well, I was just going to say, if I would describe this conference in one word, it would be chaos.
Chaos, yeah.
Just like the demo itself.
We're going to get there. I just want to say, like, if whoever was in charge of making the decision of putting Final Fantasy 1 through 6 on mobile and Steam only, like, find a new career, because I'm coming for you. All right. Also,
just like that guy's coming for chaos.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Seth can beat up a lot of people in the video game journalism space. So I have to assume there's a lot of overlap in the video game developer space.
Absolutely.
Space. Yeah,
you nerds are going back to high school. That's all I'm saying. Here's the thing, too. Like, then they showed off whatever Final Fantasy Origins was. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish with this game, because it seems like they're trying to rewrite Final Fantasy 1. Because Garland, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yes,
Elijah?
Garland.
I think so.
Garland?
Yeah.
Is apparently the main antagonist. It's called Final Fantasy Origins. And it's really awful. And I just like...
That's a good way to put it, yes.
Wasn't Origins already a game? Wasn't it like the combo pack of 1 and 2?
Yes, this is Final Fantasy Origin, but even better, the full title is Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin.
Wait.
I wish the listeners could have
for
seen
our audio listeners, which is all we have. Seth just got up and ran over to his shelf, and he picked up something off of it. I think it was
it looks like a PS3
picture of himself.
At the speed of light, too. I've never seen Seth move that fast. Maybe he can beat up Greg Miller.
So, there's this manga that Square's been pushing out, and it's called Final Fantasy Lost Stranger. And I'm wondering if they're connected. I pulled this out to see.
He found paradise.
I'm wondering if the protagonist does look a little bit like the protagonist from Strangers of Paradise, only with brown hair, which is somewhat blonde.
This is like when Gandalf found the ring and then just like ran to Gondor, and he's just flipping through the pages, and it's just like, ring.
I wonder if they're connected. I'm wondering if this game's an isekai.
George, just wait until Seth shows up at your house, opens the door, just keep it secret, keep it safe, and runs away.
That would explain so much. First off, because, dude, if this is an isekai, like a meta game almost, they should have said that. They needed to come out with that, because this game is getting like trashed all over the internet. It's like the biggest meme coming out of E3. The dialogue is terrible no matter what kind of game it is. Like, this reminds me
chaos.
This reminds me of when they released the demo for Final Fantasy 15 and everyone made fun of Prompto's voice and like how bad that was, and they went back and changed it. They have to go back and change the English voice acting.
No one could complain about the demo for this game because it didn't work for anybody.
Yes, it didn't work.
See, the main problem I have with this is it plays so good. It feels so good. I love the way it plays. But man, that dialogue is terrible. And man, I don't like the overall tone I've seen in the trailer, because
it's so like gritty and
like every color was dark. Even when it showed purple or orange, it was dark purple and dark orange.
You know what else is dark? This game's future. I've never seen a more cookie cutter, boring protagonist in a Final Fantasy game, dude. if you, oh my god, it's so frustrating.
Well-
look at the last few Final Fantasy protagonists. Like, everyone was talking about Final Fantasy 16's characters being boring when that trailer came out. And I was like, okay, but, maybe they'll switch it up. Maybe this is like beginner armor or whatnot. Now that I see Final Fantasy Origins, I really just truly think that Square, this is Square, just like in Final Fantasy 15, being like, we can't just appeal to games in Japan. We have to attract the Western audience too. I feel like I've been in a time machine, and it's back in 2005 when Square Enix is going through this all over again. It's crazy, man. This game looks so bad. It looks so bad.
Well, I haven't tried the demo yet, but just like as somebody who watched the trailer, like it looks like a PS3 game, like an early gen PS3 game.
So the two other things I want to say is, I think the best way to describe how this game feels is, imagine if Dante from the DMC Devil May Cry decided to come in and fight Chaos. But the other thing is, in the trailer, it just showed the main character in this super basic shirt he bought from Walmart. But what it doesn't tell you is, like, in the game, you right away get armor that gets put on and such. And it's like,
well, that would have been really nice information,
exactly.
because that changes everything. His name's still Jack, and he's got terrible dialogue. He looks awful, but
and the main character in 16 is like Jake or something like that. So
it's stupid.
They're batting great.
And I don't know.
You know what else was terrible though? The World Before Realm Reborn, right? Wasn't that one terrible?
Yes.
Can't anything be fixed? That's literally all I have to contribute to this conversation. I'm going to mute myself now. Love you guys. God, awesome. You're so pretty.
Well, the thing I was going to say, and again, I haven't played it, so Elijah, it sounds like you did play the demo, right?
Yes, I did.
The trailer they showed like this never-ending, like,
crystallization.
He would hit the person and then crystals, and it's like, is that like the whole freaking gameplay loop? Because it looks horrible.
So it does.
What
it looks terrible.
Is you can kill a creature normally, but if you get its stagger gauge all the way down before you kill him, if you hit circle, you do the crystal thing and rip them apart, and it refills your MP. And it'll like increase your max MP gauge.
I just hope they improve that in the full game, because based off that trailer, they showed that stupid crystallization like 47,000 times.
Well, the problem is you have to do it 47,000 times.
And the animation was identical every single time. And it just, I don't know. It just looks so unpolished.
A college sophomore made that trailer.
Yeah.
That's all I can, like that was, they were like, yo, this is tight. This is so good. They're going to love this. And it's in F-Buddy.
Well, and it's crazy because it's the same team that made Neo, right? Isn't it the same?
Yes, Team Ninja
people? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is that exact same team. And Neo is so good.
Didn't we get rumors of this before E3? That like there was a hardcore Final Fantasy game coming out?
Yes.
But man, I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think this game, because the books Lost Stranger are about connecting all the Final Fantasy worlds, and he's talking about chaos, I think this game is going to be in some way related to Dissidia Final Fantasy. Because you guys remember, Chaos was the main enemy of Dissidia when Dissidia had a story.
And Team Ninja made the most recent Dissidia.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I did not know that. Yeah, I think this game is in some way linked to Dissidia. I think it's going to combine a lot of Final Fantasy worlds together. I think that's probably why Garland was in there, because, of course, Final Fantasy 1 boss. And if they don't fix things, it's going to be panned universally. It's going to be another critical failure for the Final Fantasy franchise.
Yes.
So, but that's pretty much all we saw. Massive absence of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 and Final Fantasy 16, but I do agree with Elijah. I think they're probably going to be at the Final Fantasy conference, the PlayStation conference, whenever that happens. Also, PlayStation waiting way too long. They should have had something on Friday.
Or even on like this Friday or something. Let all the other talks die down, then PlayStation does. And then PlayStation gets the last laugh.
They're giving me way too long for Xbox to be in my headspace, because right now all I want to do is play Xbox games. And I think by the time PlayStation comes out, I'm going to be like, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Because I'll be honest, I think that state of play is probably going to suck if the last 2 years of PlayStation have told me anything.
Yeah.
When's the last time we got a good state of play? I can't think of it.
Never.
Yeah, I don't
First
know.
one was great.
I also think state of plays were like purposely set up to have like really low expectations, because like
I think so too.
Because E3 was still going on when the first state of play was announced, right?
No, the first state of play came out with Final Fantasy VII Remake.
No, that was the second one.
Was the second one?
Yes. I don't remember exactly what the first one was, but I do remember it being the second one because
During the PlayStation experience?
So Chris and I don't remember what we were seeing, but we were sitting in my car at a movie theater watching the state of play for where they had Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I remember it was the second one. That's all I remember.
All right. Yeah, because I remember the first couple were pretty great.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's time to like turn the reputation of State of Plays around. Sorry, do you guys notice anything different about me? I just came back.
You got those beautiful shades on.
I wanted to look cool like Elijah and Austin, who are also wearing glasses, but mostly cool like Elijah, who's wearing sunglasses at 8:50 p.m. at night. So I think there's time. I think you're completely right, because all I can think about right now is Xbox also. And so while I still have absolute faith in PlayStation to deliver something meaningful and special, the window's closing, man. Like, I'm hyped about the games that I've seen about, and like I don't know if I have the bandwidth really yet to get more excited. Like I was between the Microsoft conference and the Nintendo Direct, like I add like comic books I want to my phone calendar, I add video games I want to my phone calendar, like movie releases, all that stuff, and like my calendar's starting to look pretty full, guys. So like Sony better hurry up.
Here's a crazy statistic that I saw. After Ratchet and Clank coming out, there is 0 PS5 exclusives for the future planned that announced. 0.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. So the last PS5 exclusive that we know just came out. That is crazy.
Well, because Horizon and Gran Turismo is also now a PS4 game, right? And then we have God of War, which is again still a PS4 game. So
As of this moment, PlayStation themselves have no PS5 exclusives planned.
All right, but I mean, at the same time,
okay, maybe I should say maybe they haven't planned, because we've heard from 1 or 2 companies that are like, we're making a PlayStation 5 game. We're just getting the studio started.
Yeah.
Like, all right, but sure, but at the same time, like, let's not pretend
that's nowhere.
Let's not pretend Microsoft's been awesome so far. Like, yeah, they had an E3 showing, and there's stuff to get excited about months from now, you know, like there's that, but it's also like, I don't know, like they had the Medium, but that's like coming to PlayStation soon, you know. Like
next month is the first party Series S and X exclusive, the very first one.
Which game is it?
Flight Simulator.
Which funny, because like I said earlier in our Slack chat, apparently it only runs at 30 frames. So even on Series X, it's like really pushing it. But I know that game is pretty hardware intense.
I don't think there's anything to really talk about until Nintendo. I mean, Capcom showed off nothing, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but there was just one thing I wanted to mention from Ubisoft, which was Rainbow Six Extraction. Looks awesome. I am all in on that. It's crossplay too, even, which I think is fantastic. So,
wasn't that game originally called Rainbow Six Pandemic?
Yes.
Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Quarantine. Yeah. Stick to your guns, man. Stick to your guns. You shouldn't have changed the name. Like, just double down.
Real talk, though. Real talk. Like, those aliens or whatever you're fighting, like, they look like trash. Not graphically. Like, I think the art design on them is like horrible.
Yeah.
So let's have a real conversation. This was totally like a zombie game, right?
Yes.
Or like something where it was infected humans, and you were going to be killing infected humans in a quarantine.
I wonder what they look like.
And they were like, okay.
It comes from a game mode that was
give me a second, you know?
Yeah.
It comes from a game mode that was in Siege. I think it was also called Extraction, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like the same exact thing.
I'm curious what the creatures in that game mode looked like, because this is supposed to be, it's just that game mode, but a full game of it. And I'm curious.
But I love George's theory. That's such a good theory, dude. It's so correct. I feel like I said, though, I really wish they would have just had the cojones to double down and been like, yeah, this is Rainbow Six Quarantine. This is Rainbow Six COVID Quarantine. And like, it's just all coronavirus-based video game.
No, don't love that. Don't love that. I want to be on record that I don't associate with the comments that Seth just made on
I do love the idea from it, where it's like you can play as the operators that were in Rainbow Six Siege, but like if you're caught during one of the missions, you can't use that operator until you rescue them. I like that idea.
No,
But that
fun.
also brings me to the question:
And
what if you
rescue him by giving him the vaccine?
What if you are really bad at the game and all of your operators get caught? What happens? we're figuring out the game, like the console just ejects the disc and the disc just doesn't work anymore.
Well, that's
All
like that. What's that? Like Escape from Tarkov game, right? Where it's the whole
Yeah.
like, if you lose the stuff in the game, you lose the stuff forever. Like until you
Yeah.
go back in and find it. It's like that's kind of interesting. After playing Zombie Army 4, I'm like all in on like these co-op shooter experiences. At least that was like the vibe I got, where it was like a cooperative,
Yeah.
Western Audi.
semi like raid based, right? Like gameplay.
Yeah.
Where okay, that's cool.
It's much more of like a tactical than like your Back for Blood or that.
Okay, that's cool. I can mess with that. I do think the art direction on whatever you're fighting is just trash.
Yes, I agree with that
And
completely.
like Ubisoft, I know for a fact are much better at art, like at character design than that. And so that's why my theory is that this was like a last minute audible that they called.
I think that's so cool. I think that's such a great theory. I hope that's true because I would love that.
I'm curious to watch the original CGI trailer because I'm pretty sure the trailer had someone bitten in the arm, like a bite from a zombie.
Well, the name was Quarantine. There was obviously some sort of like sickness going around. Anyway, let's talk about Nintendo since Capcom showed off nothing we didn't already know about, right? All right, sweet. So they started off the show with Smash Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how you guys feel about this. I almost feel like it's getting to be like a little too much.
And
It's a little bit too much for me at this point. I'm like, oh, okay.
I feel like he's a weird choice because just like Cloud, there is no association with Nintendo in any way, shape, or form. Like when they announced Banjo and Kazooie were coming, it's like, yeah, that was a huge N64 series in that has a lineage on Nintendo. Has Nintendo ever had a Tekken game?
I don't know. That's not what bothers me about it. What bothers me about it is like, this is probably like what, the 90th character for Smash, and like, okay, they're all cool, they're all great characters, but at some point, doesn't it just become a little clustered, a little too much?
Well, the thing is, people still, I mean, obviously still do play it.
Yeah.
But it's like at some point, especially the competitive world, I mean, how much does this like change things? Because I'm sure like the balance of it, anytime a new character comes out, it's like ridiculous. And this is, I think, like the 8th or 9th character they've added into Smash Ultimate already, like since the game launched.
I don't know. I thought it seems like a lot more than that. It seems like
no, they're on their second pass. Their first pass had 6.
I could have
we're about
sworn this
halfway
was
through
like
past 2.
20th character they added.
No.
That's what I thought too. I was like, geez.
It's less than 10 for sure.
Like just
Well, 'cause, like-
it feels like Rock Band DLC announcement, you know, where it's just
Yeah.
like at first, like when you first get Rock Band, you're just like, oh, sick, they added 5 new songs. And then like by the end of it, you're just like, all right, there's now 900 songs
Yeah.
available, and you're just like,
That's what I feel like.
well, I'm not spending $1.50 on each of these songs. So like, you know,
Yeah.
like, and I was so happy that they did that first, just to get it out of the way. Like, I don't mean
seriously.
to yuck anyone's yum. Like, if you're excited for this, that's great. I'm happy for you that you get someone new to play as. But like, man, just rip the Band-Aid off, man, already. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. The trailer was pretty funny. I like that he kept carrying the Smash characters over the cliff and dropping them. That was really awesome. I was like, this is sweet.
I'm waiting for somebody to make a GIF of him grabbing like series like Metroid Prime and F-Zero and throwing them off.
But you guys are missing the biggest point about this Tekken announcement, is that we finally, after all this time, get Tekken Cross Street Fighter.
Oh my god. I forgot
True.
about that game.
We finally get it.
Oh my god.
What's funny is Street Fighter Cross Tekken exists, but not Tekken Cross Street Fighter, which is also a game that was supposedly going to
it
be
was supposed
existing.
to come out after. Yeah.
yeah, that's supposed to be a Vita game. Thanks, guys. That's why the Vita died.
Exactly.
All those Tekken fans on the Vita, yeah.
Yeah, just sitting there like idiots with nothing to play.
He was in the trailer, but I don't know if he was officially announced. They announced the main guy from Tekken, but did they announce his dad coming as well? Was that how that happened?
I think he was just like in the stage or something.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
was,
I
like,
wonder
part of the
if he's like a
stage itself.
side character or
Yeah.
something.
No, there was a bunch of other small stuff. Like there was the Life is Strange remastered collection, the Life is Strange's True Colors,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and then there was Guardians of the Galaxy, which like really bummed me out at first. 'Cause I'm like, man, if this is gonna run on Switch, like how great is this gonna be?
Oh, real
And
quick,
then
some additional info on that.
Yeah,
It's cloud.
It's the cloud version,
cloud-based.
which they did not announce during the direct, but was later clarified.
That's dirty. That's
Yeah.
some dirty nonsense. I wanted real quick before we move on. How do you guys feel about the new Life is Strange game? Because I love the first Life is Strange game, but whatever's come out about this new one, I'm just kind of like I don't know. I'm not really hyped for it or feel. I can't hear anything.
Elijah, we can't hear you.
You're muted, bud.
That's because I was muted. I'm super excited. It's one of the biggest games of the year for me. I can't wait.
I love
the thing
the
for
first
me is kind of because it's $60. I mean, if it's in the same vein as the first one, I don't know that I would necessarily pay $60 for that, but maybe it's like more expanded. I don't know. But I haven't played anything after the first title. So I didn't play Before the Storm or 2, or they even did there was some other game they made. Was it Tell Me Why? Is that the one that they made?
Yeah, it's not part of.
Yeah,
it was an Xbox exclusive.
I just kind of
Really
dropped
good.
off that series after the first one, even though I loved it.
But when I saw this trailer, I was really hoping that this was going to be a Nintendo exclusive Life is Strange game with the protagonists together, but it did not seem to.
I did like that little animated thing they did at the
Yeah, that
beginning.
was cool.
It's all in the same universe, right, Elijah?
Yes. The way it's connected, just really quickly, there's the first game, then the second game, which is about, I'm blanking on her name, but Chloe, yeah. It's about Chloe, and she has like the friend, and you play Dungeons and Dragons with a girl named Steph near the beginning, and Steph is in True Colors.
I got a serious problem, by the way, with punk rock like colored hair girls. That's all I'm gonna say. Like that it's my kryptonite. So
hey, yeah, me too. Yeah, if you looked like you mosh at a Warped Tour like 12 years ago, I'm probably in love with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care about this game series at all. Like I want to so bad. Like, well, just from like a narrative perspective, like I'm just like,
did you play the first one?
This should be my set. I'm in the middle of like episode 3 or 4 of the first one. Like, I just cannot be compelled to finish it, and it sucks because I want to so bad. So this did nothing for me.
Well,
I will say though,
force them.
the animation sequence at the beginning, if the game looked like that, but like only on Switch, like if there was like a console exclusive art style, like I think that is like a space that probably worth exploring. Like probably down like the road down the future. That would have been way more compelling to me. Like if they made it more like I don't even like point and click adventures, but like something about that cartoon specifically like really spoke to me. And so I would have checked it out if it looked like that. But just I don't know.
Yeah, very good. Where were we moving on to?
Just Nintendo stuff. They had a lot of good things. I mean,
oh man,
Metroid.
No,
Dread.
you're skipping one. You're skipping one of my most anticipated games now, and I'm not even joking. Super Monkey Ball, Banana Blitz. I'm not joking.
Yeah. I knew someone was gonna be excited about that.
Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. It's the remastered collection.
Yeah, Banana Mania. You have to. It's the mania, George. That's most important.
It's the mania. I legitimately Super Monkey Ball on GameCube is one of my all-time favorite games. Like I think that game is like such a fantastic like arcade experience. It is such a great couch co-op thing to do, or couch competitive, however you want to say it. Man, I'm genuinely so excited for this game.
I've never owned any of those games, so
it has online. Guys, we should totally play. It's wild. It's bat poop insane. You like that, Austin? I sounded like an idiot for you. I'm stoked for that game.
The only one I've ever played is the Vita one.
Same.
That one's fine. The GameCube one is like special.
That's what I've always heard.
Okay. Metroid Dread for real now, though.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Looks fantastic.
It's made by the same people that made the Samus Returns.
Yep.
On 3DS.
I knew what he said was a lie. It wasn't the first 2D Metroid game in the last 20 years, right?
Original, I think is what he said.
First original.
Oh, first original, yeah.
Because like this one's Samus Returns was based on Samus or Metroid.
It's just a remake
Metroid
of
2.
Metroid 2. Yeah.
Just a Game Boy game.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
And this game was supposed to release in like 2004.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I didn't know until Elijah told me this just at the start of the show.
In like 2003 at E3, they announced it as Metroid 5, and then later announced the name as Metroid Dread, and then it just never came out.
Oh.
Yeah. Because it's technically the 5th mainline Metroid game that is not including the Prime series, so which is pretty interesting.
I missed it, but apparently the trailer for it opens up with Metroid 5. Yeah.
Kind of insulting to show off this game though, and not Metroid Prime 4. That was my takeaway. I was like, that is just a huge slap in the face.
Well,
I
they
feel
at least mentioned it though, right?
Yeah,
and it's not the same.
Well,
No,
here's the thing, though. If
they
they wouldn't have
acknowledged
mentioned it, if they wouldn't have mentioned, hey, we're still working on Metroid Prime 4, people would have come out of here like, wait, they're coming out with a new Metroid game? What does this mean for Metroid Prime 4?
Well, the thing is, too, Metroid Prime 4, I think it was like 2 years ago, just completely restarted development.
Yeah.
Because it switched development teams completely. So I think that game is going to be like years.
I'm
still.
thinking 2 years off is my guess.
Yeah. I'd say 2023
Also,
at the
like,
earliest.
As excited as I am for Metroid Dread, and I am excited, like, just put Samus Returns on Switch too. Like,
Yeah, I know. I was hoping for that.
That game played great on 3DS, but it also came out after the Switch had already come out. So like, no one was like, I feel like a lot of people probably sold off their 3DS to buy a Switch, which like I don't blame them. Like, it's the
I bought it,
of,
and I didn't play it because I had my Switch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that game's great, and like more people should play it. And like, it was pretty, but like it'll look better on Switch. You know,
Speaking of Switch, where was the Switch Pro announcement? We know it's coming. We know it's pretty much imminent. I mean, GameStop leaked it the other day. Every other place has leaked it.
Well, I thought they were going to talk about it because they announced. Didn't they say that like the Switch has like been final for like 5 years? Like the Switch came out 4 years ago in 2017, but I swear I heard someone say something about 5 years ago during the presentation.
Yeah,
he did.
He said something at the start, but I couldn't.
He's like, the Switch has now been out for 5 years, and I'm like, math.
It's like, really, really weird. They're so quiet about it, seeing as how everyone knows it's coming. I feel like a complete like idiot because I just bought a new Switch. So now I'm probably going to sell that and buy a Switch Pro depending on what the Switch Pro shows off. But do you think that maybe, perhaps, the reason they didn't talk about Guardians being cloud-based is because they can run on the Switch Pro natively?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but it's an interesting thought.
No, but I think that's why they didn't show off Splatoon 2. Or Splatoon 3.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole bunch of games that they've hinted at that I think would be great candidates for Switch Pro.
Well,
and then
it
was
seemed
weird
like they were trying to focus on...
Talk about a game at the end, which I wasn't expecting them to talk about because I thought that would have been a Switch Pro game.
Right.
You know?
It seemed like they were trying to focus on games for this year, though, is what I'll say. Aside from the final game, it seemed like pretty much everything was this year. So maybe Switch Pro is next year. I don't know.
Are we ready to talk about the final game?
Yeah, we can just talk about it.
I thought it was going to be Hyrule Warriors 2 at first.
Let me double check.
I mean,
the two already came out, right?
Technically, 2 already came out.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the next Hyrule Warriors. I was like, there's no way.
Wait, hold on a second before we move on to the last game. Okay,
there's a few more things.
Yeah, you guys are super nerds. So Elijah, I'm assuming you're really excited for Danganronpa.
Yes.
Okay.
How are you excluding me, George? Come on.
Oh, sorry. He just
also me. Like, I love Danganronpa. Yeah. I just haven't beat any of them except for one.
All right, guys, I'll be right back. I go fall down a flight of stairs. I'll pick up with you in a few.
All right, have fun.
Danganronpa is one of the best series to come out in the last 10 years. I would say.
I really screwed myself because I played 2 right after 1.
Yeah.
I the same day I finished 1, I started up 2, and I was like, you
burned yourself out.
Should have spaced it out. Like a man in the desert drinking all of his water at once. Yeah.
1 is fantastic.
50
2 is
hours
fantastic.
In 2 weeks. I got the platinum for the first game.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm never doing that again. But no, Danganronpa is amazing. I really like how they expanded the board game from 3 out into its own game. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
We can't talk about it. I don't want anything spoiled. I'm still gonna play them.
Yeah, you should. You really should.
Yeah,
we're really super excited.
People don't really talk about 3, but 3 is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So
I gotta watch the anime still. There's a lot of Danganronpa I gotta catch up on.
Yeah.
Also, we skipped over Shin Megami Tensei 5.
What'd you think? As somebody who said 2 weeks ago that the game was not coming out this year.
The game's... I would have said the game's never coming out ever. But I think the game looks really cool. I like the way the UI is set up. The camera angle's very cool. I think that all looks great. Like I said in the chat, though, some overconfident a-hole is going to play this thinking they know what they're doing because they played Persona, and they are going to get a reality check. Shin Megami is not Persona. It is super hard. You are going to get spanked, and you're going to lose 6 hours of progress, buddy. It's over. You know? But what I just got done talking to Pedro about like a week ago was this. Persona has overtaken Shin Megami now in popularity. It's essentially its own franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Atlas knows that. And I think that's very dangerous because what I'm worried about is they see Shin Megami 5 and they want it to be as popular as Persona. So they're going to start doing things that make it more like Persona, whether that be the difficulty or whether, you know, I don't know. Like, it's either going to be easier like Persona or maybe it has like social links or something. I don't know. But I don't think this is going to be a true Shin Megami experience. That being said, I have nothing to confirm that. I hope it is. I hope it makes me want to throw my PS4 or my Switch through a window. I guess that's not on PlayStation. The other thing I'm going to say about it is I think the main character looks really cool. And I think that like the whole fantasy sci-fi thing is cool. He's got a lightsaber, you know, I'm all about that. It doesn't fit the theme of the rest of the game, apparently. Like, he's got like super high sci-fi like style going on, but that doesn't fit in. And I noticed that watching the trailer. I was like, that's a weird. That's very strange because there is like super high fantasy or super high sci-fi fantasy Shin Megami games like that, but this is not one of them. So his art design seems to clash with the rest of the game, and I don't know how I feel about that. I thought that was very strange. That's all I got to say about it.
It looks interesting.
Yeah.
That's all I really have to say.
It doesn't look nearly as interesting as Fatal Frame.
Oh my god. I mean, I know it's the Wii U one, and I literally bought a Wii U for that game.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
So, Elijah, you regret buying your Wii U?
Nope. Yes. Nope.
I was going to say...
Sorry, Seth, I didn't mean to be rude and just completely change topics. I just have nothing to...
That's what I was waiting for someone to bring someone else, because I was done talking about Shin Megami. Okay. I thought you guys had something to say about it.
All right, cool.
Dude, when I watched that Fatal Frame trailer, I was like, there's no way. Because I was like, this looks like an early PS3 game. Now it makes a lot more sense that it was the Wii U version, because I looked at that, I was like, this looks awful. Why would they show this off? But now it makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I've already played like half of it, and I will get this again and then just play all of it on Switch.
And now here's the question I want to know, because Nintendo has been backtracking with these policies lately. Is it still censored? I hope it's not.
Yeah, I'm curious about
your
that
feet
as well.
in the sand.
So like the Wii U was like the last console that Nintendo put out. Are we going to come to a point where like that sort of, I guess, like dated technology becomes charming? You know, it's going to be like watching like a black and white movie in 2021. Because like I think there's some charm.
We
to
don't
watching
talk
a black
about
and white movie.
we don't talk about the Wii U.
Yeah, but okay, but like some of the animations look jagged, like it was like, you know, Shenmue on like Dreamcast or something. And like I found that like oddly charming and just like, oh, this is like an aesthetic. Like this is a vibe choice that they're doing with like, you know, like the kind of janky stuff.
Georgery.
Yeah.
Georgethy.
What?
I started playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines on PC. No, I guarantee that's never going to become charming.
Yeah, but that's just a bad game. I don't know what to tell you. Like, Shenmue holds up. Shenmue's great.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
From what I hear, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. Third one's the worst one, but Shenmue one's good.
So speaking of holding up,
I know what I'm talking about.
Speaking of holding up, though, I think we need to talk about Advance Wars, the remake.
Oh, there's so many announcements. I forgot.
Because I've seen mixed opinions on it. I think it looks good, but
my
some
opinion fully changed.
Yeah, some people
I was so
seem to be a little iffy on it.
And then
I don't like the art style.
Once I saw a comparison of the new art style and the old art style, I'm like, wow. I realized how much I really dislike this art style.
The art style never looked that good. You were playing that on a Game Boy Advance and a DS. It looked like butt. Are you kidding?
It looked amazing.
It looked like butt.
It
looks great in screenshots. It doesn't look good on the console. It had
heart. It had charm, and I feel like that's all.
So now the janky animations and like the old okay, now it's in play. Okay, that's interesting. But when I want to talk about a game looking crappy,
I think it looks fine personally, but I've never played those games, so I don't really have like a nostalgia for them at all. I did play Battalion. Yeah, I know. I did play Battalion Wars though, and it has a pretty similar art style.
They very we can make fun of that. You're right. They were on like Game Boy, whatever. The art style, they very clearly changed the direction of the art, though. When you look at like the screenshots and compare them, like they definitely made it more Nicktoons and not Toonami. That's what I will say. Like they everything looks more like a toy instead of a Japanese anime art style. That's kind of how I feel about it. I'm not crazy about it. If the game plays well, if it's fun, I'll play it. You know, it's not gonna bother me that much. I don't have a super good connection with Advance Wars. I just don't. First impression, I don't like the art style. That's all. How about that? Huh?
I'm excited to check it out. I'm more forgiving on the art style. I agree that it's not as interesting, but I do think it's still pretty. And like, I don't know, did you guys like Wargroove? Like that was like the most recent.
I haven't played that one.
I really want to play it.
That was the most recent Advance Wars style game that I can remember coming out, and like that game was great. And I think that art style is probably a little more Nicktoony than even Advance Wars is. And like I think that's a great way to put it. Is Toonami versus Nicktoon? Like I think that's a perfect summary. But yeah, no, I'm excited to check it out.
All right, are we ready to talk about Breath of the Wild 2 yet?
No, Legend of Zelda Game & Watch. I'm so mad. How is this like the anniversary shit you've got for Zelda? You're going to give me the privilege of buying what used to be like two $5 games and a $4 game for $50 on a handheld that I can only ever use as a handheld and a freaking egg timer. Like, get out of here. This is not an anniversary.
George, everyone was asking for a Zelda collection.
God, shut up.
They put 4 games on there. Isn't that like... Does that not satisfy you?
Oh god, yeah. So there's the 3 Zelda games, and then there's just like a Zelda skin on like a crappy hammer tossing, whatever, like a gopher game. That's weak sauce, man. That is so terrible for an anniversary. Like, how is Skyward Sword like the best? Skyward Sword is now the best part of Zelda's anniversary.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. And I mean, there's like DLC for Hyrule Warriors. Too, but it's like. I mean, I love that game, and I don't really care about the DLC because it's not like story stuff. It's just
waves,
new characters and maps, and I'm kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
But Breath of the Wild 2, however.
All right. So can I just want to get my opinion on this out of the way immediately. The game visually looks really good. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. Aside from like the floating islands, I don't really, because they didn't show off much. It was mostly like almost just a trailer. They showed off a little bit of gameplay, not something I would consider significant. Other than the floating islands and like the crazy castle, which I'm watching the trailer right now, I don't see how it differentiates itself from the Breath of the Wild 1 at all. So that's my biggest complaint. I don't have any other complaints. That is it.
Do people want it to?
I've seen some people, and you know, I don't really have an opinion itself on the game, but I've seen some people say they notice that like some of the music plays backwards at times, and like water droplets seem to go backwards at a point or something. So they wonder if like time, like one of the powers is the ability to control time a bit.
That would make sense.
The only other thing I have to add, and then I'm completely out of the whole Breath of the Wild thing. There was a tweet from IGN. Nintendo says the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild does have a title, but they aren't announcing it yet because it could clue players into what happens in the game.
Okay, now I see there definitely is time manipulation. I see the power one right now.
That's so dumb, because if they release the title now, or if they release it, like no one's not gonna know the title before they buy it. So like what difference does that make?
Exactly. That's why I'm like, they're gonna have to say it eventually. And
you can definitely see Link's his different moves and whatnot. But there was time manipulation in the first one, right? You could stop things, hit them, and then they would fly.
Yeah, but from what I can tell, I think Elijah, what he's alluding to, it almost, and this, I mean, seems like a 1-to-1 representation, obviously, with the development cycle. It seems like this is literally going to be the Majora's Mask to Ocarina of Time. Like, literally, as far as that game was all about time and, you know, things that happened that way. I mean, it's the same, even the development is the same. It's the same assets. Just like Majora's Mask was. It seems like they're kind of replicating that, to me at least.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious if it's going to be like, I really doubt they're going to do like the whole 3-day time thing like they did in Majora's Mask, but I would bet that there's going to be some sense of overall like time manipulation as a world, not necessarily like just an object per se.
I see.
great, but also it took Majora's Mask a year to come out after Oracle, or Ocarina. Sorry, Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
So like the 4 years, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I think it has to be a little bit more than that after a 4-year wait.
Well, and I'm sure there. I mean, I'd be surprised. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I'd be surprised if there's really not much different. I mean, I know it's the same map on the ground, at least it seems like, but I would hope at least there's a lot more of the sky or underground or whatever it may be, because they kind of tease that in the first trailer that there's going to be some sense of like cave exploration or something of that sort, which they didn't have in the first game. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it, but I think I'm honestly, I wasn't like crazy impressed by the trailer.
They didn't really show much.
Like more. Yeah.
But it seems like a lot of people are saying that now I haven't played Skyward Sword. A lot of people are saying that it seems to connect to Skyward Sword, the trailer. They were almost hinting that it connects to Skyward Sword.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of people mention that as well.
That would make sense.
I don't understand how.
And they're saying like, I don't know anything about Zelda, but apparently like they think that's the reason that they chose Skyward Sword to bring out now. Because
it would make
of
sense.
correlations.
I forget the exact story in Skyward Sword, but obviously that game is like mostly set on like islands floating in the sky. And so if they're going for kind of the same thing,
like
I don't know.
I don't think it's
Why is George shaking his head no?
Because it's not really about islands in the sky, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, some of it is, I suppose. Like the
like
main kind of story moments are in the sky.
Your town, but I thought it's completely semantic.
Anyway.
It doesn't matter. I love you, but you're wrong. What were you saying, Elijah? Sorry.
No, yeah, I've seen a bunch of people say like it seems from what they could tell, like for story reasons themselves, like not so much location reasoning, but it looks like story reasons could match up or something. I don't really know, just what I've heard from multiple people.
Well, and something interesting I saw too that people have been theorizing, and this is my last comment because we're running a little long, and Elijah, I know you have something you want to say, but there was something going around on Twitter saying that in the trailer there's like a shot of Zelda falling. And oddly enough, they have the Link in the sky that has like that long hair, and he looks a bit more like scruffy than like the Link that was in Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
But any shot that they show of Link on the ground, it's like the Breath of the Wild model Link.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are saying that they're thinking that on the ground you're going to play as Zelda, and that's just like a fill-in model that they use for the trailer, and then Link you'll be in the sky, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how that'll affect
super
like
cool
gameplay
with
or anything.
playing. Super cool with playing as Zelda, as long as it's super cool Ninja Zelda.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what I want. Sheik. Give me Sheik. She can teleport. She's got cool martial arts things.
Also, I'm super cool playing a Zelda in a Legend of Zelda game. Finally, it is about damn time.
No Linkle, no Elijah.
Sorry, I know Elijah has one thing that he wants to talk about first, but wrap up really quick. Gun to your head, Seth. One game from E3 that was talked about that you're getting day one.
The Xbox RPG that I saw. That's the only thing I saw that I'm getting day one, no reservations.
Okay. Austin, same question.
Forza Horizon 5, easily.
All right. Elijah, same question.
Just to have a different answer, A Plague Tale Requiem.
Cool. I am probably going to go with Forza Horizon also. There's a couple runners up, but
that was my answer too. I didn't have a different answer.
I'm stoked for that game, but also like,
dude, I'm so pumped for that game. I can't wait for us to all.
I'm just
super
super pumped.
The roads.
You can just get it on Game Pass though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how crazy is that? The world we live on. Is Halo Game Pass too?
Yeah. All first party. Actually, everything shown at that event except for Battlefield, Diablo 2, and I can't remember what the other one was, are all going to be day one Game Pass.
I'm all about Game Pass right now. Like, I'm sorry, Austin. Game Pass, right? You know, like that's what I want. Like, just all over me. You know?
All I'm hearing is we're all going to Mexico in November, and we're driving some sports cars around some dirty roads, which shouldn't actually happen, but we're going to do it
as long as it's crossplay. Yeah,
it is. It is.
Yeah,
I can't wait to beat you down with my superior frame rate.
Tight. Sick burn, man.
I have the power of vapor coolers, Seth. You have no idea.
Yeah, but
The frames that thing adds.
Everyone knows racing games are better on mouse and keyboard.
Sir, I bought the very much like adored Xbox One controller just to be disappointed by it. So everyone I bought it, everyone was telling me like, oh, this haptic feedback and like the amazing vibration, like sensitivity. And I got them like, this is just an Xbox 360 controller. Like that's all. That's pretty much all it is.
Okay, Elijah, finish this up.
I just want to mention super quick 6 indie titles that were mentioned at other shows to definitely keep an eye on. First is called Hunt the Night. Then Lake, Immortality, Bird Problems, and River City Girls 0 and 2 were both announced. And Unmetal.
What is that?
It is literally, it plays like the old Metal Gear games, and it is a parody of Metal Gear.
So
okay,
it's
well,
like,
I'm about to go Google this one.
Yeah, sorry. So just to be clear, so it's like, what was that game that came to Vita and PS3 that was like GTA?
Oh,
but like the old style GTA, like
Retro City Rampage?
Retro City Rampage, yeah. So it's like that approach, I'm guessing. All right, that sounds tight.
Quick, Bird Problems is a like super cute game about birds that is stylized like a sitcom. Immortality is the newest game coming from Sam Barlow, who did Her Story, Telling Lies, and wrote Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Lake is a just little narrative adventure about someone who moves to the suburbs and delivers mail. And Hunt the Night is what Bloodborne would be if it were a 2D game.
Cool.
So keep an eye on those. They look amazing.
Well, there you go.
Tight.
I also want to say the name indie means almost nothing anymore, right? Have we gotten past the indie title, the tag? Yeah. I'm over it.
At this
some
point,
of the biggest games the last 5 years would be technically considered indie. It's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah, like at this point, it's just a
blanket statement.
Yes, it's a blanket statement because, I mean, if you look at it, in Europe, The Witcher 3 was an indie game. It was independently developed and published.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it just...
There you go, the hottest indie game, The Witcher 3.
Yeah. But not Cyberpunk.
Oh, no.
No. All right, are we... does anyone have any closing statements before we wrap up this special hot episode?
I am going to do a special episode myself on a whole bunch of indie games and other announced games from E3 to keep an eye on. That should be up rather soon after this. So
keep an eye out to keep an eye on.
Can I do a hot take with no rebuttals and then we just bounce?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yes.
All right. Far Cry 6 looked incredible until it started bleeding together so many disparate elements from different Far Cry subgenres that I am interested in this game, but not nearly as interested in this game as I used to be. I think it looks like butt the more I see of it. It has been completely Fortnite art directionified with having a CD player gun that shoots CDs at people. I think you're making a mockery of what used to be an incredibly just direct and interesting political commentary series of games, and you're just ruining it.
All right. Well, I'm not allowed to rebuttal that.
Yep.
So I guess we're just going to close up this episode of a Frame Skip. And thank you guys so much for listening. And remember, you can find us all over the place. But I don't have it up. So, Austin, why don't you read us where you can find us?
All right. So I'm glad that you thought that I had it up because I do.
Absolutely.
Because I was not sure if you were going to have it up. So, So where can you find us? Well, the answer is everywhere. So
in your bathtub, in your bedroom at night.
There's the list, Seth.
Just
Google that one took me a minute to read.
Frame Skip Pod.
Yep.
Here's the list right here. It is right in front of me.
It's just everywhere. You can find us everywhere.
Find us everywhere. Google Frame Skip Pod, and it should come up. Also,
our Twitter and Instagram.
We're Twitter and Instagram at frameskippod. I'm at Seth the 90s kid. Don't follow me. Elijah is at Local Lizardman. George is at GB Loftus, and Austin is at Austin Do 140. No,
Nope.
not anymore. What are you doing?
Don't follow me.
Austin J.L.
Austin Jeller.
Yep. And Coach does not exist on Twitter.
By the way, we did get a question from at frameskippod, which was, whatever happened to that Coach guy?
Coach made fun of my long hair, so I killed him and buried him in the mountains.
He made fun of your long hair? He doesn't have hair.
That's probably why I made fun of him. All my hairs, every individual hair.
Saga.
Yeah.
So the story is
that's a good spot to end on a cliffhanger.
I completely butchered that ending that I wasn't prepared for, huh? Pretty sweet. So
I'm gonna literally cut it where you said pretty sweet.